Hey y'all, Jill here. Welcome back to my kitchen. I am in full-blown baking preservation mode. You guys know I kind of had this like kick in the butt of like, oh man, the summer's kind of wrapping up. I really need to make sure that I am utilizing all of my harvest well, not letting anything go to waste. So I just chopped up a bunch of okra, popped it in the dehydrator, but now I've got a basket of green beans. We have so many green beans coming on, and so I've been just trying to go out there every day and figure out what to do. Now we're gonna freeze a lot of these because that is how we're eating green beans the most, but I wanted to do a little test batch and dehydrate these because one, I've never done it, and you guys know I talk about all the time adding tools to your tool belt. And so for me, if I've never done anything, I want to kind of experiment with that so I can have my own point of reference. So I know what the green beans taste like canned. We do not like that. I know what they taste like when you freeze them, which we do prefer. They keep that kind of crunchy texture to them. But I have no idea what they are like when they are dehydrated. So I thought, let's give it a go. Let's see. I don't have a whole lot that I'm like giving to this project. So I know I'm still got plenty of beans that we can put up. And I have all that, you know, food preservation that I don't have to worry too much on if this is a total flop, but I don't think it's gonna be. So essentially what I'm gonna do is wash all of these really good, and then I'm gonna snap the ends off, much like you would if you were canning beans. We actually still do this if we're freezing our beans as well. So a lot of that's very similar. And so I'm gonna rush through this real quick, and then we'll jump back in and start the next process in dehydrating. So one thing I'm gonna do while I'm washing the beans is go ahead and get a pot full of water boiling. You are gonna have to blanch these for about 5 minutes, and then you'll need to transfer them, you know, to an ice bath. So a lot of how you're like freezing things, this is kind of the process, is it's like the hot blanching, then it goes into the cold ice water for a period. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this started on the stove, and that way it'll be boiling by the time I'm done with that first step. Now that the water is boiling, I'm gonna take my beans and transfer them. I am doing these in a couple different batches because I'm not sure how much space I have in the dehydrator. So I'm doing enough that I know will probably fill about 2 trays, and then I'll kind of look and see how much space I have left. If not, I'm gonna blanch these and do things a little differently so that I can freeze them, and that way they just don't go bad on the counter. I'm gonna set my timer for 5 minutes. I do already have a bowl full of ice and cold water in the sink. So I'll just transfer these after 5 minutes into there, let them sit, and then we'll start the next process. I have these sitting in the cold water. I'm gonna just let them sit until it's gonna be where I can like handle the beans, because I do need to cut these into smaller little pieces. And so usually what I do, let it set for a few minutes just until you can tolerate touching the actual vegetable. Now what I'm gonna do is take the beans, cut them into about like 1-inch pieces, and then I'm just gonna layer my trays. Now, if you have super small ones, so like with my okra, when I do this, I put parchment paper on there. When I do my cherry tomatoes, since they're like dripping all that juice, I put parchment paper. I don't think I need to do that with the green beans, so I'm not, but I am gonna space them out quite a bit just so that they can dry pretty evenly. So I'm just gonna go through, chop these up some. Now they are good and cut up. I just kind of gauge. These honestly are not probably 1 inch, but they work for me. So got all that. Now I'm gonna take my trays and just start lining them on there. Alrighty, I just put the last tray in there. So I'm gonna hit vegetables. I'm gonna make the temperature at 125. So we got veggies, 125. Now, since I do have the okra in there as well, I'm probably gonna set this on like 8 hours and just see what happens. If I think that the beans are done before the okra, I'll just pull them out. So I've got this going, and I will check back in with you guys probably tomorrow when I check on these and kind of show you what they look like. I want to taste them, see what they taste like. So you guys stay tuned, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. All right, you guys, it is a few days later. I was actually editing this video to post it and then realized I never wrapped it up. However, I loved how confident I was at the beginning of this video saying, oh, I don't think this is gonna go wrong. I'm gonna check on the dehydrator frequently. That way, if I think that the green beans are getting done before the okra, I can pull them out. Well, if just, you know, real life being completely transparent, we had friends come over. I totally forgot about it, and I ended up going in and adding hours to it and not really thinking. I don't really know what I was talking about. So I'm gonna show you guys the final product because that's real life. Sometimes you're gonna can things and it's not gonna seal. Sometimes you're gonna freeze dry things and it's not gonna taste good. Sometimes you're gonna dehydrate things and you're gonna burn them to a crisp. Speaking from experience, but you get to learn. So what I did is I took a lot of notes on, okay, I don't need to be dehydrating okra and green beans at the same time. The okra's so slimy, it takes a lot longer to dry out than the green beans do. And because I cut the green beans so short, they dried out so much faster. So let's look here at what happened. I burnt some of these old green beans to a crisp. Look at that, you guys. I mean, what a shame. So the okra turned out great. It's just this fun little snack. The green beans, obviously, I completely let them go too long. We're gonna have to end up just tossing those. Thankfully, my green beans are just now starting to come on. So I did mention that too. At some point, you know, you have that freedom to play around. I know that my green beans are just now starting to produce. I've got a whole heap of green beans planted for the fall. So I'm gonna try it again. Make sure I'm only putting that in there, really sticking to like that 6-hour mark, just to make sure I'm not overdoing them. But thanks for hanging out with me as I was in my kitchen, as I'm kind of learning and altering. You guys know the dehydrator's kind of a new tool that I haven't played around with a whole lot. So I can't expect to be a pro unless I've put in the work required to really get to know it, its settings, the times, the temperatures, and things like that. So I tell you this to encourage you. If you mess up and you have to toss something, that's okay. What are you learning in the process? How are you gonna do better next time? Hopefully I'll have some good green beans. We can try this again and I'll show you guys what they're supposed to look like. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I'll talk to you soon.